you get to control how big a slice of the market share pie that you get is by making your offer more compelling than the next retailers.
How can we make an offer truly irresistible?
Yeah, so one part of making a great offer, and this isn't the biggest factor, but it's something that everyone will think about, so it may as well be one that we mention first, is competitive pricing. You know, your price needs to be fairly competitive. You don't necessarily need to be the cheapest. Contrary to popular belief, it's not about being the absolute rock bottom cheapest bargain store. You know, there's a place for that in the market where they take the slimmest percentage margin of any other retailer and they try and soak up all of those bargain hunter customers that are just searching for the best price deal. But actually that typically becomes a race to the bottom, and it's not a race that I'd want to win. So I find that it's about offering the best value for money. And so there's a big difference between value for money and just being the cheapest. Customers should feel like they're getting a real deal that's just too good to pass up on. So for example, rather than me just offering the premium luxury double gas burner barbecue that we often go to as an example, instead, if I'm offering the barbecue and it comes with a free set of premium barbecue tongs and then the silicone barbecue glove and then the recipe book that comes with it and maybe a downloadable ebook with recipes or a video guide on how to get the most out of your barbecue, that kind of bundle, that kind of value, especially if it's visually highlighted and shown on the product page with those items kind of shown in various product photos, what you're doing by doing that is adapting your offer to what the market wants. You're not just looking at the competitor retailers to you and basing what you offer based just on what they're offering. You're actually listening to the customers and thinking, well, what else would they want? Because they're the ones you need to impress. You're not trying to impress the other retailers by being the cheapest. You're trying to create the value for the customers that will ultimately be the ones that buy from you. So rather than just being a carbon copy of all the other retailers and hoping you get your share of the traffic, you get to control how big a slice of the market share pie that you get is by making your offer more compelling than the next retailer. So that's how you can stand out. That's a really big advantage. There are some other factors as well. I think the ease of purchase and the actual buying process. So you want to make sure that that buying process is as smooth and straightforward as possible. Remove all of the clutter from your store, specifically your product page, because that's the money page. That's where we'll be sending most of the traffic from Google Ads straight to the product page. So people take so long fine-tuning their homepage and making sure their banner looks right and getting the colors right. And it's actually 99% of your traffic's going to your product pages anyway. So reduce the friction on that product page, make it super smooth, simple, easy to buy, and offer multiple payment options as well. Offer a really fast checkout. You can have Apple and Android Pay, which Shopify makes it really simple to do. It's just a checkbox exercise. You know, maybe you want to offer finance options if you're selling higher price items so customers can split the payments up. You know, these buy now, pay later type providers, and really clear call to actions as well throughout. So sometimes we just have to tell customers what we want them to do, you know, and it's like making sure that there's no queue at the checkout at the counter in the shop. Just make sure that there's no point in the sale where a customer would have to think twice about completing their purchase. And there are some other more subtle psychological things that we can do as well to, again, just tick the trust boxes and make sure that all of the right trust signals are in place. So things like customer reviews, social proof. If you don't have any product reviews, then put store reviews on every product page. Hard code that into your site. And trust badges. You know, you see like the Visa, MasterCard, Amex, like these little payment signals, secure checkout. This stuff, like you'd think that it's just noise, but really this stuff can really help ensure that a customer sees it and thinks, there's the difference between them thinking in the back of their mind, the little voice saying, could this store be a scam or do they look legitimate? Also, things like clear return policies, making sure that they know exactly what would happen if something went wrong. How would they contact you? How long do they need to wait for their item to be delivered? And ultimately, if a customer has those questions answered ahead of time and they feel secure, they're so much more likely to convert.
Exactly. And framing the offer that you provide to customers as an actual offer really helped me in improving the quality of the offer that I was providing to customers. beforehand, I thought I was just needing to sell products and not really see it as an offer or an option for customers compared to other retailers. When you view your product and your website as an offer that you're presenting to your customers, it makes you think differently about how can you increase the value of the offer that you're providing as much as possible, and making sure that that price to value ratio is massively skewed in favor of there being loads of value compared to the price. And there's lots of different ways that you've mentioned there, Lewis, to enhance that value and to get all of the relevant trust signals in place, because customers need to see certain things before they're ready to buy. So double down on the amount of reviews you show, double down on the amount of trust signals, trust badges you show, double down on the social proof, whether that's highlighting user-generated content that you've generated with your previous customers. It all helps to show customers the right things that they need to see in order to be ready to purchase. And then making that as smooth as possible is the way to really make a difference to your conversion rate. So this product traffic offer PTO method that I've used to enhance my conversion rate will be really actionable for people to take away. The first thing is the products, focusing on what we're selling, then making sure we've got the right traffic, and then making sure the offer that is presented to that traffic is really compelling, and it will make a big difference to the bigger picture of increasing the profit that you generate for your dropshipping business. So I think for people that are looking to get started quickly, Lewis, and we want to leave them with some actionable advice that they can dive right into straight away, where would you suggest that they go?
Well, first thing is probably to check out a previous episode of the Dropship Unlocked podcast that we did. It was episode 15, and it was called How to Double Your Shopify Conversion Rate. So episode 15 of this podcast is definitely one to line up to listen to after this one. It's packed with additional insights, strategies, and that complement the discussion that we've had today. So I think you'll find that really helpful. And then if you're looking to build a rock solid foundation, my book, The Home Turf Advantage, is a great next step. It's available at htabook.com. And it's a really good next step to fully grasp principles of a profitable dropshipping business and to get you up and running.
Exactly. Good plug there, because it is crucial to have the right foundations to all this discussion about increasing your conversion rate. It all comes down to what is the business model that you're building on top of in the first place. And that's obviously what you've laid out. That episode that you mentioned there, episode 15, Lewis, is one of our most popular, all about increasing the conversion rate of your store. We've also had two or three interviews actually with experts on conversion rate. There's also on the YouTube channel and in the back catalogue of our podcast. So check them out if you haven't already. So I guess a nice summary then, Lewis, for people that need to, the TLDR takeaway from today's episode of how can they improve their conversion rate. How would you summarize that?
Yeah, I think just remember that conversion rate optimization isn't a one-time task. This is kind of a practice to get into. It's an ongoing process. So keep refining your products, your traffic, and the offer that you make, and you'll start to see your conversion rates increase over time again and again. And that starts to compound, and it can do wonders for your profitability as well. So just make sure you stay committed to that process, and success will follow down the line. You just have to be patient. Sometimes it's a bit of delayed gratification that you need to exercise with stuff like this.